my name is Hannah and welcome to the first episode of We Kindred Spirits. I planned for this to be a video series with monthly episodes for now, and to just really have a place where I can document the process and the outcome of bringing my various creations, crafts, and projects to life. All kind of while showcasing each and every step that it takes from the beginning to the end, good, bad, or indifferent, and just to really get to share all of that with you all. And just with people who enjoy doing similar things and working with their hands and crafting and all of that. I also plan to showcase other creative ventures such as thrifting, maybe things like baking, definitely things like holiday and seasonal decorating, and to just do all of that with a very healthy dose of the strange and the unusual. For this first episode, I plan to do something that makes me a little nervous, something I have never done before, but that I'm very excited to try. But before I get into all of that, let me give you some background. So earlier this year, we packed everything up and we moved to our new place. Here's our whole lives in cardboard. And as you'll see from the new house, it was a little dated, but I had some really big plans and I was super excited to get those going kind of right off the bat. So here is the family room. That was the dining room I started in. I'm standing in the kitchen, and then you can kind of see into the laundry room and the hallway area. So the project that we're going to be working on is going to be focused in the hallway, but I wanted to show you some of the things that I did before that, or just leading up to this. So that was the kitchen before, and this is it after, and kind of the dining room as well. Everything here is renter friendly, so if you want to, know more or ask more questions, please feel free to do so. I'm going to be happy to share. For this dining room, the first thing that had to go was the light fixture. So you'll see in the next one, there you go, that it was a big improvement just being able to change that out, and I can put the old fixture back up before we move out, so that worked out pretty good. This is the bathroom before, as you can tell, with like everything exploding everywhere of our stuff. This is it after, again, all renter friendly. I'm showing these things because this is what was leading up to me wanting to work in the hallway, because the hallway was like one of the last things I did. This was literally the day we moved in, everything coming in and getting dropped off in one room. And then later, this is me actually working on these window treatments. These curtains I adore. They were my grandfather's and were in their home for years and years. So they're from the 60s and they're actually like handmade, super heavy. So here's the hallway. This is it, absolutely plain. I think this was the day we moved in when I took this, so there was nothing going on. But I really wanted to make this a haunted mansion-esque type hallway, and it's still a work in progress even now, but what I started with was just painting it something a little bit darker to give it some color, and then I couldn't afford wallpaper, so I actually started painting my own wallpaper, and as you can see, I just continued to layer and layer. So once I finished painting this hallway, it was time for me to go ahead and add to this spooky haunted mansion vibe by hanging these incredible portraits and photographs that my grandmother passed down to me. That was my great-grandfather, and that is my great-great-grandfather, Walt and Charlie. These are all on my father's side. And then this is a third or fourth great-grandfather, Reverend Sam Black, and then the next one is actually his wife. I do not know her name, but I am in the midst of doing some pretty serious research on my ancestry, so hopefully I'll find out soon. And then the bottom left is my great-grandmother Ruth Eleanor, and then the top is my great-great-grandmother Granny Christian. And of course we couldn't forget our distinguished gentleman and General Oliver Walt here.
Okay, so after hanging the portraits in our spooky haunted mansion hallway, the next thing, of course, was wall sconces or candelabra pieces. But when I was looking them up to buy some, they were very expensive. So that's what led me to this video today, where I want to try to make them. When I start a new project, I always like to sketch everything out and get it all out of my head. These were a bit ambitious, but you'll see things like the medallion and the bow carry over even into the final project. So these were the tools I started out with in the beginning. I have a ruler, a rolling pin, X-Acto knife, and some various sculpting tools, some gauged wire, my favorite, some Gorilla Glue, especially the gelled, scissors and pliers, an extruder for the polymer clay, some paintbrushes, and then a bunch of polymer clay that I had left over from other projects. Here you're going to see me sketching out and cutting out a bunch of the different templates that I'm going to use for this project in order to kind of build all the pieces together to make one final piece. And I'm using parchment paper here. I just really love how this parchment paper works so well with polymer clay. So it just peels off really nicely and cleanly, and I didn't have any problems with it. Here I'm just going through and marking the outer circle so that I can cut a rough cut and get the original shape before cleaning that up. I have to say that I really love how these bows turned out. I wanted them to look a little more wild and I don't know what's a good word for it, but just kind of all over the place. So I twisted and kind of formed these ribbons to look almost like in motion, I guess would be a good way to say it. And then I'm just putting the wraps here around the center of the bows, almost like a knot. So here you get to see what I used to build all of this clay on top of. I did try to build my own out of that gauged wire I showed you earlier, but it just was not strong enough for this amount of clay and the amount of weight that it added up to be. So I used these and I actually really liked them. They gave me a lot of strength to be able to build a lot on top of, and it also let me kind of recycle something that I've had in my what I call my craft bin. It's been sitting there or they've been sitting there for a long time, so I was excited about that. So I've been adding flowers and buds, leaves, things like that, but I really wanted to add something else. I just felt like it was missing something, so this next bit is going to be me making some spiders to really showcase in these wall sconces. Here's everything all ready to go and ready to be baked. For paints, I used Deco Dazzling Metallics, and I knew from the beginning I wanted them to be gold, but I was really glad I picked up some other colors because the gold was just so gold and one-dimensional that what you're going to see here in a minute is that I start out with the first coat, and then as you can see here, I'm going in and stippling and aging and antiquing a lot of these leaves and like the buds and berries, and I'll do that for everything, including the bows and the spiders as well. It's time to finally put everything together, and I'm going to be using my trusty Gorilla Glue gel, which I use for a lot of my polymer clay projects, and once again, it did not let me down. And now to see what they look like hung up and in their new home. Okay, so in reflection, this is definitely something that I would like to do again and give another go. Something that I would change would be the armature itself. I tried to make some out of wire, but it wasn't strong enough for the weight of the clay, which is why I used the pieces I did. I also thought it would be kind of cool to like upcycle them and see if I could, you know, make something beautiful out of something that I kind of found a little bit plain. So yeah, I would definitely like to go bigger and just kind of go all out with like the details and everything like that. Kind of more similar to the drawings that I had originally. And then something that I think I would like to keep and that I thought was pretty successful were the spiders. I was a little nervous about these because I have drawn spiders and I've loved spiders forever, but I've never sculpted spiders before. So I was a little nervous about definitely like the legs and all the little pieces, and the wire in all the legs and things like that. Yeah, definitely something that I would keep and like to do something else with in the future. Thank you so much for being here and for being a part of the first episode of We Kindred Spirits. Until next time, be well and stay spooky.